Hey everyone, welcome to a very special edition of Hollis Does Brunch. Appreciate you joining, whether it's your first time here or whether you've been with us from the jump. We've iterated a lot since our very first brunch, but I'm really thankful to keep the series going and the conversation going. Today, I'm super hyped because our very special guests are Blimes and Gab, two West Coast MCs that I am a genuine fangirl of and who I'm also close friends with. They are incredible MCs in their own right. And when they come together, it's like nothing you've ever seen. They just released their debut LP, Talk About It. I first met each of them individually, actually. Gifted Gab is an established dope MC from Seattle, as well. And then Blimes is from the Bay, where I'm from as well. And so very excited to have both of them on, and also very excited to be here to learn more about and to support Black Artist Fund. If you're on YouTube, you can look at the description below, but there's a link to donate either via card on donor box, or you could just Venmo me with subject BAF. And all the funds that we raise will be sending to Black Artist Fund. And I'm hyped to have Candice from Black Artist Fund here to tell us more. Before we bring on Blimes and Gab, I wanted to play a little bit of their very first collaboration that was the catalyst for Blimes and Gab becoming a group to begin with, which is their iconic and viral Come Correct.
Look, I need a strong cup of coffee cause I haven't slept. If you squeezing in the schedule, it's tighter than virgins having sex. Rest is for the achieved, yeah. Or when I'm mad depressed, I'm not sad today and there's a few things I ain't mastered yet. They taking staggered steps. I got castles to protect, huh? Why you think I got this dragon's breath? Some might call me hazardous. Not too many that can handle this. I'm a hip-hop analyst. Let me channel my inner animal. I'm a cannibal like Hannibal. When I spit it, baby, it's flammable. Look, I'm going for your clavicle. About my capital was murder tactical. The actual, the factual. Yeah, better pass it left. Call that a lateral, quadrilateral, parable, parallel, galactical. Your style is unpractical. We laugh at you. Ha ha. Blimey brought the swisher, so you know I got the la la. And ta-da. We beat the mama and the papa. So every time you bullshit us, all we hear is blah blah. Nah nah, we don't speak habla. You poo-poo caca, we don't know nada. Bitch, you talking all that rah-rah. Yeah, but they don't want a side-eye, no slick shit. I'm too cold, any peak coat or ski clothes like Christmas. I can take it if you gon' dish it. I can break your bitch and give her back just off some pimp shit. We gon' run up and might hit you with a brick quick. Plus I'm with my sister Gab and you know she gifted. Click, click. I got that biscuit, so it's butter, baby. I've been feeling like that nigga lately. I know these niggas hate me, but they just blowing hot air. They need ventilating. Always say they going in, but they never penetrating. I've been amazing, it's been debated. They love to hate it. I'm innovated, I'm reloaded like in the Matrix. And if you talk about it, then you better demonstrate it. If you're not bumping this, you better get a better playlist. If I bust my gun, it's not for celebration. I don't fuck with you niggas like it's segregation. Look, we got no ties, we have no relation. We don't watch what you do, there's no syndication, huh?
Awesome. So without much further ado, I would love to bring on the dynamic duo themselves. Please welcome to Hollis Does Brunch, Blimes and Gab.
What up, baby?
What up?
Mid-snack. I love it. It's wonderful to see both of you. Thank you. I know it's been a really whirlwind last week with your album release on Friday, and I can't wait to get into it, but I'm thankful that you guys took time out and woke up early and even chefed for us to come through to brunch today. So yeah, I would love for you guys to just share a little bit about yourselves and a bit of an introduction to Blimes and Gab, and let us know what you're cooking.
Well, okay. You got watermelon and we got mango.
And this bomb ass latte from Bloom and Plum Coffee in Echo Park, LA. It's a black owned, queer owned coffee shop. Fire. Go get that. tell them who you are.
I'm Gab. Oh, we're not doing the...
Oh, go ahead. Hit it again.
I'm Gab.
I'm Blimes, and we're Blimes and Gab. You guys, if you can't tell, we're wiped. We've been going so hard on this promo. Like, it's literally, we're just looking at our phones for like 12, 14 hours a day. And on top of that, with, COVID pandemic life, it's like we're in our boxes of our apartments. We live across the patio away from each other. So we're, it's a weird time. It's a weird time, but we're zapped, but we're also happy to be here this morning. So we're recharging with some bacon. Just cooked up a quick little batch of bacon and hit up the fruta stand across the street for some mango and watermelon. And we're in Los Angeles. I'm from San Francisco.
And I'm from Seattle.
Which are kind of like sister cities. We have a lot in common because of where we grew up. Both very artistic port towns with, very similar kind of community and artist vibes. I grew up in the public school system in San Francisco with a blues musician father and a makeup artist mother, and started rapping when I was 12 or even younger than that, but definitely started doing it like for real when I was 12. Folks were battling on the schoolyard, and I jumped in the battles at lunchtime trying to get that lunch money. And it turned out that I was actually good at it and ended up in the battle scene well into my 20s and traveling the country rap battling, which actually gained the recognition of Method Man, which I found out a few years ago that he was a big fan of my battle raps, which gave us the common ground to connect and make music together on, which is how Hot Damn came to be. Gabby?
What? Born and raised in Seattle, Central District. Grew up in the church, playing instruments. What else?
Your art is fire.
What, like my painting and stuff? Oh yeah, I be painting. I be painting on stuff. I be doodling. I don't know, just creative all the way around. I always have to make something from scratch. So that's what I be doing. I be making shit from scratch.
I love it. And I'm really hyped to get into this album that you guys have lovingly crafted over years. I honestly can't stop listening to it. It's so clear the amount of not only like thought and craft and artistry that you put into the project, but it's just clear that, it takes a long time it's not just like 1 + 1 = 2 when it comes to a group and the dynamic that y'all have made. It's like, it's next level shit. And the sum is definitely like, the results is excellent. So I'm really hyped to get into the creative process, and obviously releasing an album during a pandemic and a civil rights uprising is probably not what you perceived was going to be the case at the beginning of the year. So I'm excited to hear how it's been just adapting to what is. But I think if anything, just being a fan of y'all's and just following you always find a way to really connect authentically with your fans, of whom there are many all over the globe. So I'm excited to get into that a bit more. But before we do, I would like to invite a special guest that's going to be telling us more about our beneficiary organization, and who's also a Blimes and Gab fan, just like me. Everybody, please welcome to the stream, Candice.
Round of applause.
Hey, Candice.
Round of applause.
That's unmute, sorry guys. Hey.
Hey.
What's up? I'm eating ramen because it's 3
Yeah, I
o'clock
was about to say
in New York.
Um,
So yeah, I made ramen with literally everything in it.
That's awesome. So Candice, you're here on Brunch because Blimes and Gab decided that Black Artists Fund was going to be the beneficiary organization for Brunch today that we'll be raising money for. And I'm so glad to be connected to your fund and to your work. So I was hoping that you could just tell us a little bit more about yourself and how Black Artists Fund came to be.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I'm a creative. I dabble in a little bit of everything. I'm part of a podcast by the name of The Adventures of Track and Tone. We're on season 3 right now, and we just started getting onto other streaming services. So we're so excited, and I couldn't be prouder of that. And like you mentioned, I'm also part of the Black Artists Fund's board. So the Black Artists Fund kind of came together a month ago. I was introduced to the person who was laying down the groundwork from an ex-coworker. We exchanged some dialogue, and the rest is history. It was a great match. And pretty much how the Black Artists Fund works is we accept public submissions of work to be nominated, as well as the board looks for nominees of creative artists who are pretty much pushing forward in the community. And through the fund, through these grants, we are able to, maybe help them start their next project, or I don't know, pay for that extra studio space, or food for fuel. At a time like this where the economy is down, Black spirits are low, a little help and a little love in the form of money can't be a terrible thing. Right. Just based off of the nomination process and the democratic process that we take for voting. Overall, we're working on a ton of other things here and there, but ultimately it's to give back to the Black artist community.
That's so awesome. So yeah, if you could just tell us a little bit more about like what makes Black Artists Fund different from other art ventures that either you've been a part of or that are in the field right now, and what is that process that you use to select who receives your funding? And while you do that, I'm gonna share some of the art that you guys have funded, or some of the artists that y'all have funded as well.
Oh yeah, sounds good. I think what separates us is our transparency. We pretty much have a 3-step process. So it's the nominations, the voting, and then pretty much giving out the grants and displaying their work. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that the people who are funding Black Artists Fund's grants, the people who are receiving the grants, as well as organizations who may also be helping us, artists who are giving us work, putting up their work and giving the proceeds to Black Artists Funds, they can see exactly where their money is going to. Sorry if I'm tripping up over my words, but they can see exactly where their money is going to. They see the artists, they see the websites, they see the.
Sorry.
It's okay. So if there was any doubt on, our initiative, we've pretty much laid out this basis where this is where your money goes. Here are the people receiving those grants. You can contact them if you wanted to. Here's their websites. And that level of transparency, I think, is one of the main key goals of what separates us from other art initiatives.
That's awesome. And so I'm curious, so the Black Artists Fund, this really was created a month ago, as you said, in response. And I just have to say, just as an outside observer, how amazing it is that in a month's time you were able to establish something, and that 111 magazine was able to come together to create something with the board and to be directly supporting artists immediately. So I'm curious what the next steps are for Black Artists Fund.
Okay, so right now we're working with other organizations ultimately to start a mentorship for young artists. We're pretty much in the infancy stages of doing that right now. We can't wait for that to unfold. And there is also, how can I describe this? So we're also working on inclusivity of intersectional groups. For instance, LGBT community, we want to offer them a platform to be able to display their works, not limited to just the LGBT community, but people who have been disadvantaged. We want to make sure that they have a support system that's not just dedicated to them, the same way we're getting help from not just Black communities and Black organizations. So, we're opening that door to people who may have been disadvantaged before.
Got you. Yeah, that makes sense. So just at first kind of crystallizing what the community is and kind of your support base, and then thinking about how can you coalition build, connect with other existing communities to amplify your work. Right. And arts education and youth education, that's where it all begins. So I'm really glad to hear that that's a future goal.
We're always talking about, we're always discussing what ways can we grow and how can we advance Black Artists Fund into separate entities under the same umbrella. And, I can't wait for you guys to see what we're working on, what's unfolding, partnerships that, are about to come out, and just moving forward with everything.
Very cool. And I just want to say thank you. We just got our first donation from Christine Geronimo. So thank you so much for supporting Black Artists Fund. And please hit the Venmo link or the donor box link down in the description so that we can support the awesome work and the emerging work of Black Artist Fund. Candice, thank you so much for spending time with us and logging on to Brunch and letting us know more, and just for your work and community in general.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Thank all you guys. Like, we couldn't be more grateful.
We definitely want to check out the podcast for sure.
Oh,
Drop that podcast one more
Track
time.
and Tone podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, et cetera, et cetera.
What does an episode of that look like?
So one of the latest episodes we were speaking about what we missed post-quarantine. So missing going to the movies, missing just the normalcy of life, and what does that look like going forward? Is everything going to be the way we remember it? Will they be a new, like, let's say that school continues to be online, right? What does that look like? So it's just having different ideas of what the new normal will technically look like, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. So it's like kicking it with your friends.
Pretty much.
Conversation with your friends, which not a lot of people are going to have in real time.
I can show you the other person right now. Like, this is the other half of Track and Tone.
Oh, hey.
Who's tracking the tone?
I'm Track. I'm the soundtrack, and he's Tetsuya Tone.
Love it. Fire.
I smell a potential future Brunch guest. We can have a little podcast takeover. Make it happen. Awesome. You look great. You're glowing.
Thank you.
Well, Candice, feel free to stick around, but we are so appreciative for you for coming through, letting us know about Black Artist Fund, and for all of the work that you do. And we can't wait to check out y'all's podcast.
Yeah, absolutely, guys.
Appreciate the support.
Bye.
Thank you, Track and Tone.
Awesome.
You guys are awesome.
Bye.
You guys are dope. Thank you.
Also, thank you.
Awesome. And I want to say really quickly, we got some donations coming in. Thank you so much, Tammy Doe, Austin Santiago, and Jeff Lawrence for your support of Black Artist Fund. So please keep hitting the Venmo below or the donor box link if you want to use a credit card so that we can raise some money to give to the amazing work that Candice and her board are doing to directly support Black artists at this time. So speaking of supporting artists, hello, Blimes and Gab. How y'all feeling? Are you feeling enlivened by bacon?
For sure.
I wanted to share really quickly that I actually made overnight oats for the first time ever. I don't know if you guys are hip to overnight oats, but it's like something that I've spent definitely like $8 on at a coffee shop when I like have forgotten to eat and I'm going to a meeting. But we wrestled out these like rolled oats from the back of the pantry, and my boyfriend was like, I'm throwing these away. And I was like, no, I'll figure out a way because I hate wasting shit. So all it is, it's equal parts rolled oats and whatever milk you want. And I used oat milk, so I really doubled down on the oats. And then you put it in overnight with some chia seeds. And I honestly don't know what it's going to taste like, but I'm hella hungry. So we're about to find out. And I put some fruit.
Let me know.
Yeah, we're going to slide through after this. Can you leave some on the porch?
Yeah, I got you. You know, I'm always down to feed y'all. Cool. So yeah, I would love to just hear more about, and please, again, if you're tuning in, please drop questions into the chat and we can bring them to Blimes and Gab. Thank you for donating. Yeah, make sure you're donating. But yeah, so just let us know a little bit, if you guys could talk a little bit more about Talk About It. You know, a much anticipated debut album for those of us who are Blimes and Gabs fans. But I'm curious if you could just talk a bit more about like creating this album. And obviously the times are so uncertain and changing by the minute. So just curious to hear more about the process of putting the album together and what it was like releasing a whole album during this time.
You want to touch on putting it together?
Man, well, this album has been a really long time coming. It's been pretty much in the works for the last 2 years. Man, it's been quite the ride putting it together. You know, making the music is the easiest part, but then, you know, it's the industry and like all the politics and the business behind it that usually, you know, prolong it or make it take the longest. So definitely lots of learning experiences and being in situations where, you know what I'm saying, like this is definitely learning lessons and stuff like that. Like I said, the whole business thing behind it is like its own other art form, you know? So
Totally.
tackle,
And I think,
huh?
go ahead. Sorry, continue.
No, I was gonna say just having to tackle all those things along with, you know, still having to be, you know, an artist at the end of the day, like is its own his own whirlwind adventure. But it's been a great process. We got to work with some great people. Pretty much everybody who's worked on the album is like family or like friend of some type of way. So very collaborative album.
Yeah. And like Gab said, like this whole process, you know, once Come Correct went off, it was like a no-brainer that we needed to get together and make an album together and do a whole project, because that's what the people wanted. And your whole life, you're as an artist, you're looking for that pop-off opportunity, that opportunity where the doors open and people want to listen, because for a long time you're like, do you like my stuff? Pay attention, and trying to figure out ways to get people's attention. And we had people's attention with Come Correct. So it just made all the sense in the world to get together and do an album, because when your audience is asking, you might as well deliver, you know, deliver on that momentum. And we're blessed to have that. We're blessed for every single person that tuned in. We had like DMs from De La Soul, Raw Digga, you know, Bahamadia, which is how the collab linked. Bless you. Thank you. Which is how the collab linked up. Who else? I know that some people that we really respect in the industry hit us up. And that's how we knew we were on the right path.
Oh, like DMs and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Shit. Well, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I can't remember any of them.
Right. Warren G was like, come through. We made a track with Warren G. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like all the OGs, and that's how we knew we were on the right path. But in those since Come Correct came out, it's been 3 years, and we pretty much almost, I would say 6 months after Come Correct came out, we like had direction for the album and started working on the album. So it's been 2.5 years. It's been about 2 years that the conception of the album was complete. So like most of the bars were complete and a lot of the structure of the album was complete. Mm. And then over the last 2 years, it's been a long process of educating ourselves, because the resources weren't readily available for us. So we've had to resource source. And in doing so is where the politics come to play. Because we could put out an album with no resources, and our direct circle of fans may or may not see it because of the way that social media is positioned to be a profitable market. Mm-hmm. So because social media is trying to make a profit off of any business, including artists, they have figured out that if you're promoting something, they can gate your views, which makes, you know, your stuff be less visible to your platform. And when it is, you can then pay them to show it to your platform and show it to more people. So without the resources, without the funding, our whole audience isn't even going to see it. And so we knew that that's the climate that we're in right now. And so we knew that we needed to definitely find resources. And in finding resources is where you run into needing legal help, needing managerial help, needing, you know, advice, and all of that costs. So over the last 2 years, we've been really having to educate ourselves so that we don't get fucked over, and so that we clearly understand everything that we're walking into, and then also that we know how to get the money, how to spend the money, and how to amplify the project. So I think we're at a pretty good point with being able to amplify it. If you've seen any of the rollout, all of the videos, all of the pictures, all of the editing, that's like labor that people have to do. Mm-hmm. And that you either have to learn how to do yourself, which we didn't, or you have to have somebody that you're paying to do it. So This is a very, very expensive world to be in. And, you know, hopefully we can empower somebody to figure out, you know, how to fund themselves today, and just remind them that it's all, you have to figure out how to work it. You have to put your thing down, flip it, and reverse it.
Fair enough.
Don't forget to reverse it. No, I think you both touched on like incredibly important points. Like Gabby, what you were talking about in terms of that eternal balance of creative and business, and the idea that like your business can't thrive without you being creative, but sometimes like it seems like the business is so urgent, or like there's so much to learn and navigate that it can kind of like suck away your desire to even be creative, or can kind of like compromise what being creative looks like. And then like, yeah, Blimes, what you were just talking about, I think is really real. Like you can get fucked over in real life, and then you can get fucked over on the internet. And I think like, even though we're not in this radio world where it's traditional, like payola, pay to play, like with the way that, as you mentioned, our content gets gated as creators because social media sites are around to monetize. They're not around to be democratic or for everybody to be heard or to connect everybody. And I think the benevolence of social media sites is a total fucking myth. So it's like what you're talking about. It's like you can get fucked over on the legal side of things, or you can get fucked over on the social side of things. And like, how do you punch through, and how can you beat it? Like, I think as an independent artist, we often feel like it's us versus the algorithms, and we're trying to like put on a sunny face and be like, check this out, do whatever. And then sometimes I just want to post like, like Instagram. But I'm curious, like kind of what y'all were pointing to in terms of like, taking years not only to develop your signature sound as a duo, but also taking years to do the education, learning the skills, and building your team. Y'all are independent artists, but your team, I would say, like I've seen the process of putting the team together to make sure that everything is functional and centering y'all and what's best for you and next steps. And I know that like there's been some funky stuff along the way, like players that have not had your best interest at heart, that have like really created obstacles for your growth. So I'm curious, just like your candid insights on like what that's been like for you both navigating like the landscape and the industry as independent artists, and kind of like what you've learned through that process.
You want me to go first?
Yep.
All right. We're a 1-2 punch team. We always stop and see who's gonna hit the 1 and who's gonna hit the 2.
Right.
And that's teamwork, baby. So a team around you is really important. Obviously, like just talking about just the graphics side of it, we don't know graphics, so we needed somebody to do graphics. We could take photos on our phone, and yeah, that could work, but to compete in the industry, you need professional photos, and you need videos, and you need content. So you need, we had to find a videographer who was going to roll with us, who was going to grow with us, who could work with what we had, and who would be around often. We linked up with our homie Zoo and brought him on tour with us. How long did it take you to write your favorite verse on the album? I love that question, Dodger. We'll definitely get there. But the team aspect, if I'm understanding correctly, Hollis, is what we're touching on here.
Yep.
Yeah. So most importantly for us there was a high volume of inquiries coming in when Come Correct came out. So many folks wanted to know who we were and where we came from, and wanted to book us and wanted to feature us on shows and radio and podcast. And, there's not enough energy in the world to field all of that. There really isn't. And so most importantly, we needed management. And so, it's all about finding the right fit for the team. And, you have these big managers who are like, very busy, who have big clients. And then you have, smaller boutique managers, and then you have independent managers. And it was about finding the right fit for us. We did go to a management company that had big clients, and it wasn't the right fit for us. So we had to link up with somebody who had we linked up with Justin Pinder from Seattle, who's amazing, and a 10-year friend of Gab's who really has had our back. And then from that point, once we had somebody to kind of, speak for us on the business side, we had to have somebody to distribute our music. So we linked up with Sony Orchard, which actually made it possible for us to stay independent, because they're just a distribution company. So we get to make all of our creative decisions. We get to deliver the product that we want to deliver. We get to do our branding. which also leaves still a lot of work left for us and our team. Thank God we have Pinder and we have Abby as our management team, who really, really are the glue of coordinating and organizing how we're going to move in that space, because it's up to us to get all of our music videos produced and shot. So we have to source those teams. It's up to us to get our tour together. So we had to source those teams. Justin Pinder had to act as the tour manager, you know, like it's all just about like getting a really insular, solid team around you to make sure that everything's being handled and organized. You know, Pinder is getting more amplified as a manager now and has more clients. So now Abby came in and she's co-managing us and she does the day-to-day and organization. And then we have a agent at UTA, which right now is a little bit obsolete because we're not playing shows. But we have an agent that books our shows for us, because the amount of people, you know, hitting you up, like you can't really speak for yourself anymore. You can't negotiate for yourself anymore. And then a legal team is really important as well, making sure that you have legal representation. And that's been a puzzle piece, you know, to figure out, because you have these huge lawyers and then you have smaller independent lawyers that are just getting their feet. And it's about finding the balance. Do you want to get somebody that you're going to grow with, or do you want to get somebody that's already in the game doing it and maybe fight for their time a little bit more? So we are to a pretty well-oiled place right now, I would say. That's the long version.
No, I love it. And I think that really speaks to the fact that like sometimes with management, there's this perception with anything in the music industry that you want to be at the biggest team. Like you want to be with the biggest manager, you want to be with the person that's handling like top tier clients, because it's almost kind of like trickle down success is going to happen. And I think that's something that a lot of independent artists learn, is that we're aiming for these pie in the sky things, but ultimately the folks that you've come up with that are around you that you have trust with is like the absolute first thing that you should have. And it sounds like that's what you have with Pinder, who himself has a ton of experience as an independent artist in Seattle and then as an A&R down here in LA. And then to your point, legal, I think that's really real. Like, you want somebody who can represent you, but are you going to be fighting for their time? Or do you want to work with somebody who wants to grow with you, but at the same time, you want to make sure that they're legit and that anything that's coming at them, it's not like the first time they've seen it. So I'm glad that you've been able to find the team that works for y'all, because at the end of the day, especially as women navigating this music industry, there's 1,001 ways where you could get fucked over. And it's so important to have your people around you and to be able to negotiate on your behalf, to defend you on your behalf, so that you can just focus on the art.
You want to hit them?
So yeah.
I don't even really know if there's a two to be had for that question.
I feel like this is the two right here. It's like this Sarah. Is that
Sarah Nguyen? Yeah, I'll bring it up. Yeah, go ahead.
That's kind of the two. It's like, okay, how do you pay for that team?
Shoot. Well, I would say that one of the biggest revenue streams you can get is definitely syncs and playlistings, or syncs, getting your music in movies and TV and commercials and stuff like that. I would say touring, but I don't know what that's about to look like here soon. And then you got merch. So I feel like those are like the three, you know, things you can do. And also, you know, if you can get your hands on a distribution deal for them to, you know, help you get your music out there. And like Blimes was saying, it's not like a label, so you still get to keep, you know, all your creative, you know, your creative direction and pretty much do whatever you want to do. They basically just give you the money and it's like, okay, well, show us. So yeah, get you a distribution deal. Get your music in movies and TV, and sell that merch. Make some merch items that are, you know, what's the word I put? Something that I noticed that a lot of artists have a tendency to make merch that'll just like, and I've done this before too. Like when I first started, I just had like a shirt that just said "Gift to Gab," you know what I'm saying? And that's cool and all, but you want like merch that's like, what's the word? Like more worldly, like something that somebody will wear even if they didn't know who Gift to Gab is. You know what I'm saying? So whether it be like a dope image or, you know, you can still use your logo or whatnot, but like make it to where it's something that, you know, you would probably buy like H&M or like some, you know, at some Forever 21 or some store or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So like make merch items that, you know what I'm saying, that kind of that stand out, you know what I'm saying? That stand out and make you want to ask like what brand is this? Or like who is that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. No, and that's real too. I think as you mentioned, like, you know, we're not doing live shows right now. And I think as independent artists, we're all told like the top two ways that you, or the number one way you can make money as a musician is live. So like, even though we make like 0.004 cents per play on Spotify, we're supposed to like ignore that injustice and that exploitation of our craft that takes thousands of dollars to create and years of our lives to create, because we're supposed to focus on, oh no, like the real payout is live. Like we're going to be like performing like, oh, in the 2008 recession, like, you know, live music didn't go anywhere. Like it's a recession proof, you know, economic investment. And then of course with the pandemic now, like when's the next time we're going to be performing safely? And merchandising is really the number one way now that you can develop something as a product, as an artist, that the money can go to you directly. Because, you know, it's that like terrible paradox of like, we need to run up our streams and we want our music to be distributed. But the reality is that that's not where our rent is getting paid, is on streaming income. So let's see. Oh, I just to show your fans that have tuned in. Christy says, I have so much respect for independent artists that keep their fans. Your music speaks for itself. Congratulations, ladies.
Thank you, Christy.
Bless. Thank you.
Candice is chiming in from backstage.
What up, Candice?
And then David Griffith wanted to say, love y'all. My Twitter name is D Griffiths. I retweet and spread all your music to everyone I know. I even have castles on vinyl. So happy to see real artists doing it big, from Tumblr to HBO.
What up, D Griffs?
What up, Griffs? Gabby has a vinyl out too.
Sure do.
Hey.
Cop that. Where can we get it?
Get to getmusic.com, baby.
Yeah, and we definitely have to talk about it on vinyl. There's no question.
For sure.
Oh, hell yeah. And then I wanted to do this comment from earlier that B. DeVoe said, thank you so much for explaining and breaking down the ways in which artists need to build their team and be smart about their support. Did we want to hit Dodger's question about how long did it take you to write your favorite verse on the album?
What's your favorite verse on the album?
Damn, that's a tough question.
That's a hella hard question.
One verse off the album.
Hi, Dodger. If you guys don't know Dodger, which you definitely should, please look up the Last Artful Dodger's music on. Actually, it's just Last Artful Dodger, right? Just Last. I think it's just Last. I should know this by now. We're like very, very close.
She's like Diddy. She goes through hella, you know what I'm saying? The name changes.
Shortening.
You just got to keep up with it.
Last Artful Dodger. Look up Wrong Way. Look up Hot. Look up
Spies in Disguise.
Better Safe Than Social. Making music. But let's ruminate on this for a second.
If I had to just say one, I would probably say a Hot Damn remix. And I don't even remember how long it took. To make. I don't even think that was like a one I really had to like marinate on too much. It was, you know, I already was very familiar with the song. You know what I'm saying? Love the song. Love Blimes, love Meth. It was easy. It was pretty easy. So yeah, I would say that was my favorite verse on the album.
That's interesting because that's the only verse that we weren't like together present probably in the studio writing for.
Yeah, you're right.
So I have no idea what your process was like on that one either.
True.
And we recorded that. We were gonna put that out hella long ago, and we were in New York when that was moving, and we had to just like rent a random studio and go in, and Gabby recorded her verse in this beautiful skyscraper.
I'm about to say, it wasn't random. It was Blues.
Oh,
shout out to my brother Blue. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
It wasn't his room, but it was the studio he works at.
The same studio? Damn, that's fire. I lost that. But shout out Blue. We did get to see him on that shit. That was fire.
Blue.
I think I want to touch on my favorite verse of Gabby's on the album. I think is probably the Talk About It verse. Those last couple bars.
What'd I say?
You said riding out the fuck.
Oh,
in the drop top El Dorado.
Yeah, that day.
What is it? Maybe at the fuck with El Diablo. I'm with El Diablo.
What'd I say? Shit. Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my favorite verse of Gabby's on the album.
If I'm gonna bite the bullet, then I gotta have the guts to hold the West and pull it. Niggas saying I should cool it like I'm licking cool it. I'm the coolest nigga in the pulpit. Ain't nobody like me. Do it up like Nike. So I made the shoe fit. I'm too nice, but at the same time I give two shits. I might tie in the true sense. I might tie with the guys. Put the P in YT like I lead shit. Speak like I beat Nick. Streets been deep. Check the cement. Anything come past me better be decent. On me, I'm gonna be a problem. So if you picking me, you win the lotto. I'll get the bottle, pop the champagne and peep Moscato. Celebrating just to see tomorrow. Cause I done rolled shotgun in a Datsun with El Diablo. Made it out the gallows, riding out the chop shop in the drop top El Dorado.
Oh, that shit is hard.
Oh, that was so sick.
Yep, that one.
Like 95% of the verses on this album we just wrote right there in the studio. Mm-hmm. And I would say at the most it probably takes us 2 hours.
Yeah, I'd probably say.
At the most. Sometimes we get it in 30.
Right. It really, I can't even say that it depends on the song. It really don't depend on the song. It just depends on the vibe and how we're feeling and stuff like that.
The best part about working together though and being like spitters and like really valuing lyrics and punchlines and references is that we have each other to bounce everything off of, so it just elevates the bars and the verses. We're like, is this hard or could this be harder?
Right.
And then we're honest with each other about it.
For real.
So that's just fire. And then my favorite verse on the project is probably, that's a really hard one. I feel like Baptism, it's hard to decide when a lot of them are back and forth.
Right.
But Baptism bars I'm really proud of. Mm-hmm. And that I would say that just flowed, just like Come Correct. Because when we're going back and forth, we're able to just write 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 or 6 6 6 6 6 and just go as fast as we can. Mm-hmm. So that the Baptism bars are probably some of my favorite that just glued together. Mm-hmm. And listening back to Baptism now after writing it probably a year and a half ago, it's really relevant right now. Right. You know, like my mama raised a warrior, my papa raised a warrior, and we're gonna be out here standing together, fighting together.
That's real. And perhaps you could even bless us with a performance of Baptism.
You want to do Baptism?
You're choosing.
Sure. We could do Baptism.
Yeah.
You have it memorized front to back.
I'd love to hear it if you're down.
Yeah. Shouts out to everybody in the chat and shouts out to everybody that's in here. Fuck with y'all. This is the intro track off the album Baptism, produced by Chase Moore, mixed by Luku, and written by us.
You do the shit the loop away. Sharpshooter march through your crew. It has nothing to do with MLK. Burning sage lit the way through the disarray. Hit the stage, blaze made him raise and come out to play.
Y'all be taking double L's like you hang around today. You're not down to blaze with two girlies from around the way. Can't leave rap alone. We got hella ground to break. And most these bitches more is fishier than rainbow trout souffle.
Cloud is gay, ex blind. She said that's okay to say. Nowadays you unbox like 40 in a major way. People sending shots, but it don't phase me, bitch. I eat those. I spit that creams and leave stains like mine. Cheeto.
I'm the daughter of a warrior, Layla Ali. My city raised a G, never will you play my team. I'm Draymond Green, Curry with the free throws, high iced teas. You beefing, bitch, I might be.
You had to reach a mountain peak to get high as me. High as is like piano keys. You ain't playing next to G's. You don't have the type of bags that handle all these groceries. I had these niggas breaking backs for me on their bended knees.
To put it all out on the table like a centerpiece. The shots you take play slow, I guess the rendering. You keep it 1,000 feet in front of you, just like a centipede. 90s energy like Keanu Reeves and denim
And
jeans.
those cats, they know that we will rap. Circles on you, Urkels, that is no cap. I'm Kurt Cat, my fleet strap, you beat that. Take it back to earth, give him a dirt nap. Got your mama dusting off her church hat.
I heard that. I'm raving, I have vision. It's badminton. Make the birdie fly. Your whole message is half written. My gas tank has a match in it. The bar half risen. This ain't the intro, this is baptism. Shouts out to CMR if you're on the chat. What's up, Peter Bo? What's up, Abby? Baby mama's in here. What's up, Sophia? Mwah.
Yay!
Thank you guys.
Hella filthy. That was awesome. Thank you guys so much. That when that song first came on, when I pressed play on the album on Friday, I was just like, this song. And I think that what y'all were talking about, just the back and forth, like that is not as simple as being like, oh, we're just gonna do a 4/4/4 and write it back and forth. Like it demonstrates the synergy and the closeness that y'all have as collaborators. And like what you were speaking to, like the idea that you push each other and you check with each other to make sure that like you're both at your best. And that's like the true power of collaboration, is not, just like letting somebody else's strengths shine for your weaknesses, but rather like really improving and growing together. We have some more excited folks from the chat. It's true. They're all the threats. We did have a question here in terms of songwriting that I'm curious if you guys wanted to tap into. So how do you tap into the source before you write together? Like, how did you build that safety with each other as collaborators?
That's a great question. How do we tap into the source?
How do you tap into the source of writing? Oh man. I mean, I be smoking. I smoke weed. So I smoke weed. I don't know. It's really hard to say. There's a process, but at the same time, like there's no process, like we just kind of, us being a duo together. I mean, I know me personally, this is like the first time in my whole life I've ever like collaboratively written things with another human. You know what I'm saying? I'm very much a create in my room or by myself, and then, take it to the studio and record. So just being in a duo and having to do that is its own learning experience in itself. But I mean, it just all plays off I feel like shit that you wouldn't even like really think of. Like I said, I smoke weed. It kind of depends on how the day's going. You know what I'm saying? What the vibe is in the studio when we get there. Like it's a bunch of things you really can't like put your finger on and even sometimes control, and sometimes that makes it for, a great song. Like we were mentioning how, sometimes we'll write a verse in 2 hours or less. Like, there's times where we'll get in there and the beat is amazing, but like the vibe is just off. So like maybe we only get a hook and we got to come back the next day and finish it, or, vice versa. Like we get in there and write like a verse in like 5 minutes. Like it really just all depends on like universal elements pretty much.
Yep. Before I forget my train of thought, I just want to go back to making sure that we get the homies' full artist name right now, right? And it's the last artful, Dodger, Dodgr, because her music is something y'all need to hear. So I just want to make sure that we establish that that's what it is. The Last Artful, Dodger, Dodgr. There it is. Damn, Hollis, you're good at this shit.
Quick with it.
This is amazing.
Quick maths.
Yeah, like Gab said, it's just, it's very hit or miss, but most of the time it's hit. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, also comes from just like being less critical of self and like allowing, yourself to kind of be a channel. I know that when I used to smoke, I would write way more freely because I wouldn't edit myself as I went along. I wasn't as like perfectionist about it. So like the bars would come out hella freely. And now that I don't smoke, I've kind of shifted my process to like a stream of consciousness writing process where I go from one bar to the next based on what the last bar makes me think of or rhymes with, like right away. So like if I end a bar with like, watermelon, then maybe the next bar, like if I end 4 bars with watermelon, then maybe the next bar starts with something that rhymes with watermelon, and that just propels me into the next one. And it's kind of like a stream of consciousness flowing through the verse. So it just keeps going and building upon itself. But then you have to go back and like, you want the punchlines to hit. So you kind of have to like make sure that the puzzle pieces fit together, right? But I don't know. It's like a divine energy that just like,
hard to explain.
The inspiration just strikes. But journaling helps a lot to get your palate cleansed. So like sitting down in the morning and journaling has been helping me to freely write more often so that my plate isn't full with all the things that I'm thinking about that I need to do. And I've written all that out and it's off the table so then I could just be creative.
Yeah, I think that's so real in terms of just balancing that creative and the business brain and like wanting to be on point with entrepreneurialism and getting all your ducks in a row and making sure your to-do list is popping, but making sure that that's not getting in the way or obstructing your creativity. And doing those morning pages and journaling in the morning is, I think, really an important, commitment to making sure you can kind of, as you said, get all the stuff out of the way so you can focus on the music. Somebody had a question. I'm curious if you guys have like a quick answer for this. What's the most important thing for songwriting? Like maybe for folks that are hoping to strengthen their skill sets, what do you feel like the most important thing is for songwriting and the most difficult aspect about writing a song or something that's challenging?
I mean, hard to say. I guess
with a partner, I would say when we creatively disagree, that kind of gets us in like a blockage. Sometimes we're like, I'm not really feeling that. And then the other one's like, well, I am. And then we have to like kind of take a step back, like check our egos and either like disperse for a little bit, like come back to it later or start on something else. It doesn't happen that often, but that could be a challenge for us together. Or just running into that wall.
Right.
It's frustrating.
Just writer's block.
It's super frustrating when you're like, you have studio time or you've driven hella far to the studio.
I'm about to say the issue with the songwriting is never the song. It's always the things around it. It's the studio, it's your day, it's what's going on in your mind, is going on with your phone. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't attribute to anything being difficult about actually writing the song. It's literally just the elements surrounding you writing the song.
Yeah, I definitely hear that. Like it sucks when you're like in a place where, all you want to do is the music, but then there's like 100 things that are fucking up the process between you and the song, and you're just like shitty studio or like miscommunication with engineers or like we don't have the right tracks. And I think it's hard to really understand until you're a songwriter or an artist that's how many variables there are and how many steps there are to what the final product. I think with streaming, it's amazing that people can like type in a name and you can pull up somebody's whole discography, but what you don't see is like all of the time and the hours and the processes to get you from writing in your journal to a final mastered track, and like how many files were sent back and forth via email, or like, you know, how many like, oh, can you turn the DB down like a little bit on the, I don't know. It's just the amount of detail can be bananas, and it's like hard to know until you're like actually in the sauce. So cool. Well, we're going to be wrapping up in just a few moments. I wanted to shout out some folks that have donated to Black Artist Fund. Thank you so much to Wilmer Dueño. Tammy Doe doubled up and donated more. Thank you so much for that. Jarrell Perry sent us a donation. Blimes Brixton, thank you so much for donating to Black Artist Fund. As well as thank you, Blimes and Gab. Yeah, Austin and Sarah Nguyen, we really appreciate your support. And you can still Venmo at Hollis-Wear with subject BAF, or you can hit the donor link in the YouTube description. So I'm curious, Blimes and Gab, what we can be expecting from y'all in the near future now that Talk About It is finally live.
Talk About It's out.
It is out right now.
We have something special for you this week.
Very special.
You might get to see some different sides of us.
For sure. Everybody loves that.
Make sure you're tuned in this week and tapped into our social media. I've also been participating in an action called Whiteout Wednesday, Amplify Black Lives, started by Ciamara and Mad Lines. And on Wednesdays, you can always tune into my Instagram and catch the amplification of Black artists. And this Wednesday, B. DeVoe, who's been here active in the chat, is going to take over my page. And they're an amazing artist and artivist, if I shall say, just like active and speaking up for the rights of Black folks. And yeah, I'm really honored to have them.
Awesome.
But as far as Blimes and Gab goes, there's going to be so much content for this album. We can't help it. Like, it's ripe.
Very ripe.
What videos do you want to do?
Man, all of them. I would like a video to every song.
You guys want a video for all of them?
Yes. Woo!
But this week, there's definitely something special.
Awesome. Where can we, what's the best way for us to stay connected with you, to continue to support and find your brand new shit?
Man, social medias, Blimes and Gab on pretty much everything. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find our individual pages from any of those. Gift to Gab, Blimes Brixton. We also have blimesandgab.com, where you can find our music and merch and upcoming things, if there is anything upcoming. I don't fucking know. Yeah, I think those are the places you can reach us.
Yep.
Amazing. Okay, so we'll stay tuned, and perhaps this week you'll have something fresh dropping.
We will
100%.
It's for sure happening.
Yay! I can't wait. Well, I think
y'all thought.
It's
right.
Awesome. Well, I again really appreciate y'all's time. I know this is an incredibly busy time, and you're dropping all this content and releasing an album during a pandemic is no joke. I can't wait to see y'all live as soon as it's safe to do so. You guys are incredible and magical on stage. I'm going to bring Candice on really quick just so that we can say a proper farewell. Candice, thanks so much for bopping along. I've been loving seeing you in the green room, just like vibing anytime there was a Blimes and Gab moment. Oh, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself? Because I can't unmute you.
Sorry, I was trying to stop, didn't realize.
No, you're good.
I was fangirling on every other comment. I'm like, I want to be seen. No, I'm kidding.
No, I love it. Well, I'll tally it up, but we definitely raised a few $100s for Black Artist Fund. So really thankful for everybody that tuned in. We really appreciate all of you for coming through, supporting Blimes and Gab, supporting Black Artist Fund, and supporting Hollis Does Brunch.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Right on.
Any last words that y'all have for our viewing audience?
I'm seeing one question, inspiration behind all the skits, and off top, I'm going to say Dr. Dre, Ludacris,
Eminem,
Redman,
good lineup.
Turn on for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, we
And-
love skits, man. It just brings the album together.
And Hollis, thank you for having us. You're so great at this outside of being an amazing artist and musician yourself. Check out Hollis's music. Hollis just released an EP a few months ago, and it's amazing. Hollis, shout that out.
Thank you, Blimes, for platforming me. Yeah, you can check out my EP, Half-Life EP, that I released last February out. Oh yeah, and if you've never been to my page, please like and subscribe my YouTube channel. We're all YouTubers now during COVID, so we're out here. Well, I really appreciate each of you coming through to create digital space with us, and just, yeah, and everybody who tuned in today. Thank you for your energy and your time. I look forward and long for when we can all be together. And Candice, when, you know, Blimes and Gab are performing out in New York, maybe I'll pull up and we can just like have a
Sounds fantastic.
an IRL party.
If we follow Black Artist Fund on Instagram, that's where we can see the process of the funds that are being distributed and the artists that are being amplified through that process.
Absolutely. Also, you can go on 111mag.co. You can also see all of the people who've gotten grants so far. You can see art that's going up for auction. You can also donate on the website. And we also keep all of the updates on our social media too.
Fired.
Awesome. So follow at Black Artist Fund, follow at 111mag, follow at Blimes and Gab, and stay connected. Can't wait to see what you're dropping this week, Blimes and Gab. And thanks so much, Candice, for spending your time and doing the work to support Black artists. Awesome. Well, without further ado, we love you all. Thank you so much for tuning into Hollis Does Brunch. Besos.
Ah.